Good day. I'm Andrea Mitchell in Washington. During this hour, we'll be hearing from Kansas City police in a live press conference on the shooting spree that left 3 people dead and an entire community shocked by what appears to be an anti-Semitic attack on the eve of the Jewish holiday of Passover. President Obama spoke about the tragedy at an Easter prayer breakfast this morning at the White House.
Our prayers are with the people of Overland Park. And we're still learning the details, but this much we know. A gunman opened fire at 2 Jewish facilities, a community center and a retirement home. Innocent people were killed. Their families were devastated. And this violence has struck at the heart of the Jewish community in Kansas City.
Joining me now by phone, NBC's Ron Allen in Kansas and Richard Cohen, president of the Southern Poverty Law Center, joining us as well. First to you, Ron. I know you're going to this press conference. This is suburban Kansas City. What do officials know about the origins of what appear to be hate crimes?
Well, they know that this incident happened in broad daylight on a quiet, peaceful Sunday afternoon on the eve of Passover. They believe, and there seems to be no doubt, that this Frazier Glenn Cross is the man responsible for all this. He's in custody. He was arrested in a schoolyard moments after the shooting. In addition to killing 3 people, allegedly, there were 2 other people who were shot at that he apparently missed. He apparently was armed with a shotgun and a couple of other handguns, other weapons. And we hope to hear a bit more about the case against him at this press briefing, in particular, whether he will be charged with hate crimes, whether he will be charged with premeditated murder. He's being held in jail at this hour. We've also been hearing lots of people in the community who want to focus on the victims as well, of course. They want to focus on Dr. William Lewis Capron and his grandson, Reed Underwood, who were at that community center, I believe, for a competition, a student competition. There were a number of high school students who were there that day because of a music competition. Reed was a performer, a singer, and that's why he was there with his grandfather. His grandfather had moved into this community recently to be closer to his grandchildren. We don't know much about the 3rd victim, a woman, we believe, who was perhaps a resident of this Jewish community center, the Jewish retirement home. But the bottom line, of course, is that all these people are innocent victims. The person responsible for this seems to be no doubt about who he is. People are just repulsed by the notion of this man smiling and yelling an anti-Semitic slur as he's taken away in custody. And this community, like so many others, when things like this happen, just can't understand why this violence would erupt.
Richard, I know that the SPLC has studied the whole range of these suspects and these suspicious hate crime advocates and is familiar with this man. Tell us what you know about him.
Well, Frazier Glenn Miller, that's his real name, has been a fixture on the white supremacist scene for more than 30 years. In the 80s, he had 2,000 followers, had received $200,000 in stolen money from a group called The Order, and was plotting a race war. He was training his men with stolen military supplies with the assistance of U.S. Army personnel. We eventually brought a criminal contempt action against him, and he was convicted of that. After he was convicted, he went underground, declared war on the government, was eventually captured with stolen military supplies, and was convicted of having those supplies and plotting to kill Morris Dees, the founder of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Since then, Miller's anti-Semitism has grown and grown. He's posted, for example, more than 10,000 messages on a hate website called Vanguard News Network, and he's just increasingly angry, like so many people of his ilk. We've seen over the last few years a tremendous increase in the number of hate groups in our country. They total almost 1,000, and since the president has come into office, we've seen an explosion in anti-government groups, including violent militias. And so, unfortunately, one can never know when someone like Miller will bust loose. But I think it's likely that we'll see more and more of this as the country's demographics continue to change, and those who fear that continue to have a backlash.
Richard, maybe I'm missing something here, but if Frazier Glenn Miller was convicted, was he never jailed? I mean, why is he...
Oh, no, he was jailed for 3 years. He actually then testified against a variety of other white supremacist leaders in a famous trial in Fort Smith, Arkansas. So one of the reasons why his sentence wasn't longer. So he did go to jail for 3 years for plotting to kill Morris Dees, the founder of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and having stolen military supplies.
Well, one has to. I mean, I know your colleague Morris Dees is one of the, the leading investigators of these hate crimes, and I don't understand how someone who was accused and convicted of plotting to kill someone was then let loose, even if he was cooperating with authorities. I mean, there have to be questions asked about him being on the loose.
Well, the sentence was probably light, but he probably would have been out by this point anyway. I do want to say that I wouldn't want to suggest that anyone could have known that Glenn Miller at this time or this place would have done this any more than, James von Braun, who killed someone at the Holocaust Museum a few years back, or Wade Michael Page, a skinhead killer who killed six persons at a Sikh temple 2 years ago. Violence like this is very difficult to predict at any time and place, but I think to some degree the country has to recognize that there are people out there like that. We need to be vigilant, and of course, ultimately, we need to teach our children tolerance and understanding that people who are different from us are our brothers and sisters.